This is TJ Legacy, host of the Soapboxx Podcast. The live stream will start shortly, but make sure you like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and tell all of your friends and family that the most infamous podcast on all your streaming services is about to go live.
TJ, what's goody? It's HB. Can I just big you up real quick with what you're doing with the Soapboxx? Listen, anytime somebody takes their platform to educate and inform the culture of hip-hop with politics, pop culture, doing what you're doing and being responsible with your platform, I can't do nothing but salute you, TJ. Keep doing what it do. Keep repping for the culture. Nothing but love and respect for me, baby. Peace.
Tell me what's really good. It's Peter Rosenberg, Hot 97, ESPN, WWE, Cheap Heat Podcast, all that. Big shout out to my peoples over at the Soapboxx, all right? My man TJ, Legacy Cole, the whole Soapboxx crew. Incredible new podcast, all right? Politics, pop culture, hip-hop, even wrestling on occasion. It's all there. So go subscribe and make sure you tune in to the Soapboxx. TJ, what up, man? Appreciate you.
Peace to the planet. Charlemagne the God here. What's happening, TJ Legacy Cole? Salute to you, King. Salute to the Soapboxx Podcast. The Soapboxx Podcast is an independent black media podcast, and they talk hip-hop, politics, pop culture, mental health, social justice, a lot of my favorite subjects. Check them out, man. Tune in, subscribe to them. You never know. I'm out here looking at all the different podcasts that are moving and shaking out here, because, you know, I got the Black Effect Podcast Network, so I'm going to be checking y'all out, TJ. All right? Keep working.
Yes, welcome to the Soapboxx Podcast. I'm your host, TJ Legacy, and of course, I am joined by my man, 50 Grand, all the way from NYC, Jersey, Harlem. Stand up. What up, Alan York?
You know, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. It's a wonderful, it was a gorgeous 78 degrees out here in the beautiful tri-state area, that means the weather has broken, which doesn't mean much because it can re-break again and be 60 degrees tomorrow. But we'll see what happens, man. But I'm feeling wonderful. How you feeling?
Man, I'm good. Y'all gotta forgive me tonight if my internet starts lagging, but we're good to go, man. I'm exhausted. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on, but we gonna make it do what it do, like we do on Thursday nights. The most infamous podcast on all your streaming services. A little bit of the shorter show today. You know, we got the ladies that are still on they break, they vacate, we love it. The fella's gonna hold it down. So while the ladies out here, we are going to talk about topic, I guess that has a big show right now on Netflix. We're going to talk about ultimatums. Definitely ultimatums with relationships. But before we go to that, Soapboxx Podcast, Soapboxx Nation, make sure you follow us, Soapboxx Podcast, at Soapboxx Podcast with 2 X. Alan York, Mr. York, sir.
Talk to me.
Yes.
Run that back.
shout out to Jesse talking about she gonna get me a high-speed internet connection. Don't worry about my internet, okay? Don't worry about my internet. My internet's somewhere with you on your vacay, all right? But appreciate you tuning in, showing us love. I don't know too much about that show, but Alan's gonna put me up on game. So Alan, you want to go to the clip first, or you want to go? Just put me up. Alan's basically running this show today.
Nah, so I mean, we're gonna do a broader topic on ultimatums before we get into the clip. But recently, I've been put onto the show. It's called The Ultimatum on Netflix. This is not an ad, so that's why I'm not gonna get too deep into the show itself. Long story short, we have these fairly young people who are pressuring their significant other to get married, essentially. And the ultimatum is that either they marry them and they don't. Now, with the show itself, it does have a twist in where they are being introduced to other people in similar situations, whether it be people who are also being given the ultimatum or are the recipients of the ultimatum. And, you know, that just had us really thinking about some of the ultimatums and compromises that we have faced within our life. But the most salacious kind, and the one that the people really want to hear about is relationship ones. But before we really get into our perspective, TJ, I want you to run the clip because this clip that we have here serves as a very, very valuable lesson. And I want the people to hear it and learn.
After I gave him the ultimatum, he just looked at me in my face and was like, if you feel like you need to move, move. And so we went through 3 months of like chicken, where I had no friends in Vegas, no family in Vegas. I just really blurted that out. I did not mean it. I had no intention. I had no job. I had nothing. I had no plans on moving to Vegas. I thought I was going to force this man to propose to me. For 3 months, he was like, do what you got to do. You want to move, move. So the last day I was putting my stuff in the car, he came over and helped me put my stuff in the car. And we put stuff in the trunk, and I just started crying. I'm like, you really going to let me leave? He looked at me and he said, have a safe trip. He looked at me and he said, have a trip.
Yo, that's dirty.
So long story short, what happened there is the young lady.
Hey.
Yeah, so the young lady, I think there was a little bit of context missing. The young lady was dating someone and essentially said, listen, if you do not marry me, I am moving to Vegas. She pulled Vegas out of her ass. She didn't know nobody in Vegas. She didn't have no business in Vegas. And she thought that would get the job done. And as you all can see, that's not exactly how it went. They have a saying, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and unfortunately she is the carnival winner of the stupid prizes, unfortunately. So I think that was TJ's first time seeing this video.
Yo, it was, and I thought it was hilarious because shout out to services. We got sirens, we got internet lagging, like just when the ladies ain't here, it just shit just goes haywire.
Well, I am a part of the element.
But we're gonna make it do. We're gonna make it do good. But anyway, no, I thought it was funny because I think we're talking about relationships. You can have your standards, right? But if someone's not trying to meet your standards, then if someone's not trying to meet your standards and you try to give them a ultimatum, I don't know if that's the best thing to make it work. But they do say the art of negotiation is the ability to walk away and never look back. So for some people it works, but forcing someone into marriage by manipulation is probably not the best way to start. I'm not a marriage expert because I've never been married. But I don't think that's the best way to start. What do you think, eh?
Well, personally, as a professional marriage expert myself, I can confirm that is not the way to go. So I've been told on the internet. I feel like something like a lifelong commitment as like marriage is something that both people should be 100% invested in. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that people can't get cold feet, not to say that sometimes you don't need a little nudge, but I always feel as if that a lot of people who don't want to get married, there is something instinctually that is telling them not to do it that you don't necessarily want to force them to go against. Especially with the show that we were talking about, these people.
Can I ask you this? Do you want to be married?
I would love to be married. Yeah, for sure.
Like, do you have like a clock or like a time when you would be married? Or are you gonna be one of them like, 54, 56-year-old people like, yo, I finally found my soulmate. I finally found it. But
yeah, I always look at anything relationship wise as it being 50% completely out of my hand. You know what I'm saying? So I think it would be unrealistic for me to put a timetable on something like that, because you literally have to have somebody else with their own set of emotions, their own goals, their own entity, their own likeness to be on the same page as you. And unfortunately, there's a lot of that is out of my personal control. So I think so for that reason alone, I can't necessarily put a time limit or a cap on it, because who knows when that person is going to be ready or when I run into that person. So I try not to limit myself like that, knowing that there's a whole 50% out there that I cannot create or make by myself. So, but yeah, it would be cool. Yeah, it would be cool. What about you?
Man, I'm practically married now.
Hey, air horns.
Semantics. Nah, man, it's just I will say this. Marriage is something I take very seriously. I only want to be married once. I'm not about that divorce life, and I'm really not about that stepdaddy life either. And so I think for me, I understand exactly what you're saying about only wanting to, it's like it's 50% of you. Like you can't make someone act right or do right, and you can't force, like I said, you can't force anybody into marriage. You can't force somebody into being a good mom. And I think for me, that is the biggest thing. Like it has been the hardest thing. Once I started, when you're younger, you start like, damn, this girl's fly, or she's fine, she's attractive, you want to get with her, whatever. Like it went from that until when I really knew that I wanted to be married and have kids eventually. Then you start dating for value system, and then dating becomes that much harder when you start trying to match your value system, and you start thinking, well, if I date you, would I want my daughter to be like you, or want my daughter to model themselves after who you are as a person? And then the dating pool starts to really, really shrink after that. And so I do want, but I wanted to be married young, but I actually thank God that I didn't get what I want. And I think sometimes, that's the bad thing about ultimatums. You could be trying to force something. You could be trying to force a situation that God's really trying to deliver you out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, listen, I feel marriage is like plastic surgery. Some people should be forced to wait until they're fully grown up before they make that lifelong commitment. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. It's like a BBL. You ain't even got your grown woman hips yet, and you trying to alternate and move stuff around. You gotta wait till you grow up mentally. That's like how marriage is. A lot of times, when you say, go ahead.
No. Go, you were finishing. My fault.
Oh no! What I was gonna say is, I know a lot of people who got married like in their early 20s, and they spent like a better part of a decade being with somebody, and then now they're single again. And that's just because that's natural. It's not an indictment on them per se. Who you are between 16 and 22, and who you are between 32 and 36, a lot of times is not going to be the same things. So a lot of times with the growing pains, marriage and relationships comes with that. And a lot of times, society they don't tell us that because there's such a rush on, I wouldn't even say family, because I'm not even sure society cares about family as a whole, but there is an emphasis on structure and traditionalism that has a lot more to do with like finances as opposed to like real love and companionship and stuff like that, or they would kind of probably teach us to wait a little bit longer. But that's my little spiel on it. But what was you gonna ask?
No, I was gonna ask before you talked about growing up, and I agree. There are some things that you got to grow up out of in order for you to have a not just marriage, but a successful relationship with people, whether it's business, whether it's intimate relationships, dating. But when we focus on the dating, right? Do you feel like a guy has to get out of that? They call it the player stage. You think he got to get all that play out of him first before he decides, all right, this is who I'm going to settle down with? Or is it just kind of like, he's got to kind of get it out of his, like some people, when they say, oh, get it, their play out of the system, it's almost like a guy has to pretty much like settle right? Like settle in, settle down into adulthood, into manhood, rather.
I don't know. I think there's pardon me. I think there's a lot of different levels to that. I mean, a part of me feels like everybody doesn't necessarily have that player in them.
That's what I thought, brother.
And I would even say that, like, a lot of people don't have that player in them, and so they could be waiting for an arbitrary time that never comes. And then on the flip side, to where there are men who are late bloomers, you know what I'm saying? So they may feel like, okay, this is who I am. I don't have no player in me. Let me go ahead and, I really found someone I love, and then you take that path. And then, who knows what happens. It's a lot of different factors, but 10 years later, 7 years later, they get their little mojo back, they get their swagger back, and they realize that they haven't necessarily done what they could now back then, and there's a little bit of regret. So I think it's a lot of factors in that. I was actually listening to someone the other day. She was a dentist. She actually like specializes in like veneers or something like that. And then she would say how much she noticed men's whole demeanor changed once they got their teeth fixed. Like, we're talking about everything from how they walk in the room to now how they're evaluating their relationship, right? So, and I'm just using that as an example is, it could be money could be the veneers, right? What if somebody comes with a lot of money and or maybe career is veneers, and maybe now this person is able to access different areas that he wasn't before. So I think it's just a really thin line to know when that's over, because also at the same time, the women are not going anywhere. Like, so if your goal is to chase women and to chase that lifestyle, there's not a barometer of I've done enough, because there's always going to be more women, right? There's always going to be more women. The older you get, you have more of a pool from, for example, and obviously no creep talk, but like 7 years, a woman being 7 years your junior at 25 or 27 is way different from you being 35 or 45. So the pool kind of expands from who you can date. So all that variables is to say, if that's what you chase, as far as the player, like, that's not something that that's a hole that doesn't stop. So you have to mentally tell yourself, like, this is what I can tolerate. This is enough, which is hard for a lot of people if that's what they're chasing.
Yeah, and you also know, especially in a relationship, that there's always going to be, like, I had to come to a realization because I've been doing a lot of like social media and branding work, and like looking at like social medias and Instagram accounts and stuff. There's fine women everywhere, like everywhere, everywhere. And even more so when you travel, you're like, God man, like you think, oh, they fine over here, like in different regions, they're fine, and they're fine for different reasons.
Right.
But it's like I said, it goes back to values, man. If that's what you're chasing, you're never going to be satisfied if you're just like, yo, I just need to get the next fine woman, or because they're really, you look at athletes, they're not really bothered by fine. They're just kind of like, that's why, you know what, to be honest with you, I never understood the whole like Instagram model, or anybody who has Instagram like gets slid in their DMs. And they try to put like rappers and athletes and stuff like that on blast. Like, oh my God, he slid in my DMs. He was trying to hook up with me. Like, I never understood, like, how is that, like, one, that's slut shaming to a degree.
Male slut shaming?
Yeah, it's male slut shaming. I don't know. Nobody cares. Two things: people don't care about male slut shaming, and people don't care about male fat shaming. They do not care. They will let Lizzo wear assless chaps on a private jet and then look at 50 Cent and tell 50 Cent, yo, you need to go on a diet. It is not a game. You was looking terrible at the Super Bowl and shamed 50 Cent. So,
No comment.
but I mean, why? Why? Because I brought up the L word. Oh, you're not. I forgot on podcast. You're not supposed to say the L word. You're just supposed to say, yeah, girl, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're supposed to say, okay, okay, that's all.
Jet is private for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, that's like, it's so funny that you were talking about people who get their teeth fixed, because I look at some of the like old stuff from the podcast and I look at myself. I was like, man, you ever look at old? Not just me, but you ever look at old pictures of yourself? And you're like, yo, what are you going through? Like, come on, man.
Absolutely.
Yo, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, for sure.
Yo, I don't know. That's crazy because I mean, I have body dysmorphia like a mother. Like, I can't. It's funny because when I was bigger, I couldn't see myself as big. You couldn't tell me I didn't look like fucking Tyson Beckford. Like, I was just had the confidence of like, hey, I'm good. I had this like, yo, I'm good. And I've been hollering at people. I'm like, yo, why is she?
I feel like we should I feel like we have a young ladies. If you don't know who's Tyson Beckford, it's y'all generation's like Michael B. Jordan, except he didn't.
Correct. Oh yeah. Did I date myself? Yeah. So I thought, but I was never that person that was like, oh, I can't get no girls, or I couldn't date, or like I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was never like that.
Right. Confidence is always there.
Yeah, it was always there. But now with weight loss and body dysmorphia, I think now that I still look like how I did back then. Now I look at pictures and see myself. I was like, yo, I was way bigger than I thought I was. But that's just how like my mind, when it comes to my body image, is so warped now that no matter how long I see in the gym, I still think and believe that I'm still that size. And I'm not, and I'm even more hesitant now to talk to the opposite sex than I was back then, because now you know the effect that you have. You know the effect that you have on women to a certain degree. So it's really huh?
And I'm sorry, this effect that you say you have for you is new, you think?
Well, it's not new. It's just like
or
when
more
you're
heightened awareness.
It's a heightened level of awareness. So okay, so when you're a bigger dude, you're like, all right, I think she's throwing me a vibe, so I'm gonna kind of just go ahead. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna capitalize on it. Mm-hmm. Now it's a little different. Now you don't realize that when women are attracted to you or overtly attracted to you, you don't realize they do a lot of the same weird shit guys do. And so I'm very particular, especially in settings, because I don't really go out too many places, especially in the gym. I'm very particular on who gives me compliments or how I perceive, even when I'm talking to people, perceiving like, hey, I'm really not trying to hit on you. I'm just really trying, like DJ Khaled, yo, talk to me nice, yo. Like I'm not trying to hit. Like, that's one of my pet peeves nowadays is that like a guy can't talk to a woman without a woman automatically thinking that he's trying to either sleep with them or he's trying to make a pass at them. Whether it's opening the door, whether it's, hey, how you doing? Good morning. Like, it's always some sort of like, he's got to have some grand scheme as to why
ulterior motive.
Ulterior motive as to why he's being a human, as to why he's being a human being. Like, trust me, if I like you or I'm trying to hit on you, like, you will know it because I'm gonna act really. I'm gonna act like Urkel. Like, I'm gonna act really weird. Like, if I was to ever, get in contact with my ex, Tessa Thompson, if that was to ever happen, I'm sure that would be a very weird encounter. But yeah, it's weird. Like, when you talk about like, confidence and, and image, and that's another thing. Like, I looked at my pictures from last year's WrestleMania to this year's WrestleMania, and I looked at, I was like, I'm sure that some people would be like, I was confident, but now that people see you, in a different light, They're like, oh, okay. I'm so glad he they're like, they'll say awkward things like, I'm so glad you lost weight so you can get your confidence up. I'm like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? I was always confident. What are you talking about?
Right. So
yeah, they're like, oh, okay. We get it now. I know I kind of went off a tangent, but when you said that, it reminded me of my own body dysmorphia.
No, well, that's but I wanted
what
to
up,
ask
Morgan?
You. So hey Morgan. So I wanted to ask you.
Oh shit! Should I leave?
What? No, what I
was like, hey, see, I told you like a nerd. I'm like, hey Morgan, how you doing? And you're like, hey Morgan, how you doing?
Since
still a nerd.
Since you are
still a nerd, I'm still a nerd. Look at me in my Mandalorian shirt, my Grogu shirt. I am still a fucking nerd. I got no game. I'm sitting there like, hi Morgan.
Since you are the expertise in woman behavior, you made a point to say that you believe that women do act a little bit weird when they are kind of.
Who said that?
You said that when a woman's attracted to you, they do the same weird stuff that men do. That was what you said, and I want to know what are those things.
They do. Yes, they do. They don't think they do. They do.
Yes, but what is it? For the fellas who may be oblivious to when a woman is hitting on them or at least interested, what are the signs, TJ?
What are the signs when a woman is hitting on you?
Yeah, well, yeah. Like, what are some of the weird things that you were referring to?
I will say this: the weirdest thing, because I told you I don't really go anywhere. I stay to my. I keep my company and I stay at my place, and then I'm either out in the gym. But I will.
Mm-hmm.
Women who are at the gym with their boyfriends looking at you on the sly and trying to make that eye-to-eye contact. That's something that's when I talk about it in my personal life a lot. I don't like that because I know that, like, especially with,
So yeah, that sounds nasty.
You said what?
It sounds nasty.
Yeah, because you're lifting and the dude is there and he's like trying to show her, as much as, what he can and everything like that. But then you're lifting and like you see them, like it's just an energy. Not only that, but when you're talking to them, they're more like, I noticed when you're talking to a woman now, this didn't happen before. They're more like the eye contact is more intense. Their body language, how they position themselves, is much more intense. It's like their like you say, like their pheromones. It's like you can sense that. Like you can sense like, oh, I can sense your energy. Like you're really like, oh, you're attracted. There's a look, right? There's a touch of the hair. There's a subtlety to, even when you have shake someone's hand, right? Shake a woman's hand or have a conversation. That goes back to what Cam was saying, talking about women being submissive. Like women are very submissive to a dude who they recognize as, as a dude who is in their masculine. I wouldn't say alpha. I don't like using that term, alpha female, alpha male. If a dude is masculine and women can see that and there's an attraction, and there's not only just an attraction, but there's a respect to that, they tend to be very submissive and in their divine femininity without any issues. And so a lot of times when dudes, I will touch on that, a lot of times when men are like, yo, she too feminine. Now there's some women who want to be, brolic and want to be alpha females and be all, and that's fine, they can. And there's certain women that talk to men a certain type of way and act a certain way where it comes to, they're not, in a dating sense, that doesn't mess with some people who have more of a dominant personality. And I just, like you said, there's no ultimatum. You just kind of walk the other way.
So
just say no, thank you.
So I have a question, because you said that it's a difference now. Do you think that difference is more so women themselves and how they are being more aggressive, even if it's more subtly aggressive, I like to call it? Or do you think that women have always been this way, but you have a heightened awareness as you get older?
I'm going to say something, and I'm not saying this for sympathy. It's just the truth. And anybody who's had a weight loss journey is going to understand. And if you haven't had a journey, it's something that it's a harsh reality. I don't believe in the whole like, oh, people are fat phobic, like they fear fat people or people who are big, thing like that. I don't really subscribe to that. Mm-hmm. However, there is a overt difference in how people treat you when they see that you are taking care of yourself, and when they feel I could be the same person who was giving speeches about social justice and things like that, and people are like, yeah, all right, whatever, because they judge you based upon what you look like, because that's how our society is. They're going to judge you based upon your outward appearance. People don't care about the inward because they don't really know that. We have social media, all these different things. People just care about what they see. And so you can be like, oh, I could say one thing and people are like, all right, whatever, this big chubby fat dude walking around here talking about we should do some shit for social justice. I ain't trying to listen to that. Right. But when you're in shape and you look a certain way, you're like, hey, hey, you could say the same exact thing. You see what I'm saying? There's like people, like you hold the door open for a girl or a woman and you hold the door open and she don't say shit.
Right. And I think
you look different. Like, for instance, I'll be honest with you. There are people who before, I was attracted to and wanted to date or and just wouldn't see me would not see. I'm the same dude, intellect, everything, motivation, everything. Wouldn't see past the physical. Now it's a little different. Now they're like, oh, now I'm attracted to you. So now what you're saying has some validity. And that's the thing about dating. And I've said this on this podcast before, dating is basically everybody is a property appraiser, right? When you go on a date with somebody, you are basically presenting yourself, even women included, hey, this is how much I am worth. This is what my value is. And instead of someone saying, wow, okay, I see the value in you, I actually see more value in you based on how you walk, your ambitions, your drive, your, everything. No, people look at you and they decide, nah, I disagree. They say, nah, I disagree. You ain't all that. You. And then people try to chip away. People try to chip away not at your confidence. They try to chip away at your accomplishments in your life. They try to just chip away so that instead of you, in order for them to, you guys to be equals, and you're not equals, right? So what you need to do is, for people who talk about ultimatums and shit, is just have a standard and stay there. And if the person is not willing to elevate it to a higher vibration, then you know that person is not actually for you. But I could go into a whole different thing about how life changes when people see you. And the thing about this body dysmorphia with me is that I, at this point, and hopefully it gets better, I can't even actually see myself. I will never think that I am, like the compliments that I get, I'll never think that I'm as strong or as big or as fit as people be like, damn, you really got yourself together or whatever. I'll never see that. I will always see myself as how I was, because a part of that is fear of like, I don't want to slip up and go back. Right? Go back. Mm-hmm. Correct. But it's heartbreaking to know that, wow. Did I tell you about the story about the woman who had surgery?
No.
Okay. I'll tell you real quick. So moral of the story is the woman was actually going to have, I spoke with a psychologist. She says she speaks with people who are about to have gastric weight loss surgery, right? And so this woman was, she's almost 400 pounds and she was going to have weight loss surgery. So she ended up having the weight loss surgery and she lost over 150 good to go, right? She ended up going to this place for dinner, And as she was going to dinner, this guy opened the door for her to let her in, and she turned around and punched this guy in his face. Right? Dude presses charges, and she has to go, psychology or psychiatrist, whatever. And basically, she had to tell him, he was like, Your Honor, I kind of snapped, and I apologize. But when I was big, no man would ever open a door for me. And so when you do have weight loss, you have to deal with the realization of you looking in the mirror and being comfortable with yourself and seeing yourself, and then the world or society viewing you a different way or only judging you. That's why when women gain weight after high school and they're like, oh, y'all shouldn't fat shame. It's like, you only talking like that now that you big. But when you weren't big, you was on some like, give me the Michael B. Jordans, the Aegis Albas, or whatever. But now you want everybody to change their standards or their preferences because you don't have yourself. You may have had kids, you may have gained weight, you may have your different body images, which is fine. But it shouldn't be that when you are feeling oppressed or when you are feeling pressured about your own body image, now you want everybody else to change the narrative.
That's an interesting story because it's like I can understand how any change in behavior could be triggering because the steps that you took to get there, right? It's like they have this saying like they'll go around and they'll ask people, men and women, like, yo, would you do XYZ for $1 million? You know what I'm saying? Like, would you? Yeah. They'll ask a woman, like, would you suck such and such off for $1 million? Or I'll ask a man that, and then
what?
Right. So they have these stupid hypotheticals. What would you do for X amount of dollars? And then they'll always circle back to some people will say, damn, I may be $1 million up or $100 million up, but I'm gonna always think about what it took for me to get there, and I'm not gonna be sure if it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? So the callback into that is like just knowing the journey that you had to get through and knowing the before and the after, like that middle part is always gonna be somewhat triggering. So I could definitely understand how that could be the case. But at the end of the day, it is going to be about your personal growth. And now I was also going to ask you, because you said something, your wording was very interesting when you said that they are attracted to someone who knows that they are taking care of themselves. Now, do you believe that sometimes it does go past, of course, the aesthetics matter, and that's how you could tell, but do you also think it can be a deeper thing where people are attracted to discipline, consistency, or the traits that it takes for a person to transform themselves as opposed to only the final result?
No, I do believe people are attracted to ambition, right? There are people that not just the aesthetics, but they're attracted to drive. Like people who go to college. The reason people celebrate college or postgraduate degrees is because you did something, and basically all it is that you are able to stay on task and finish and complete something, right? People like to see that, and it has an effect on other people. I also think when it comes with women like to have a sense of security, and so they know that if you're someone that takes care of themselves, that you're going to live longer, and that you're also going to be able to, not saying that women are damsel in distress, but they're going to be like, hey, this dude could actually protect me. Like he's physically built. Like, yo, trust me, over the past year since in my daily life, I've realized how scary this world is or can be with women, right? And the shit that they have to deal with on a daily basis and things that they have to worry about that men don't have to do, that men don't have to worry about. And I'm not, some people call it rape culture, but I really call it the reality of womanhood, of like having to walk and do certain things in order to like women actually, I think we don't, as men, we don't really take into account or think about how women have to constantly think about their safety.
Right.
Like,
they have to cater. They have to
like
cater,
it doesn't.
yeah. They have to cater everything
and it's
that
just
they do around like them being a woman. Like, I want to do this, but I'm not gonna do it past this time because, or I want to go here, but I can't do that past this time, or I want to get gas, but this station is crazy, so I need to go an extra 2 miles. Like everything.
Constantly. And so there's a certain, but as a dude, you already know you can go to those gas stations or go to this place and that because you're like, yo, I can handle myself. So I think a part of that, to answer your question, has to do with like, yo, like for instance, I wasn't going to share this story because I'm sure, so there was a situation where I was with, my company, right? My lovely company in Texas. And I had turned around because I was talking to somebody so I can get on this mechanical bull. Right? And so when I turned around, who I was with, a dude approached this person and tried to make a pass. All day, every day, it's all good. It's a part of the thing. If you attract, that's going to happen.
Where were you at this point? You were on the bull or on the way?
No, I was. Shut up, man. No, I wasn't on the bull. I was talking to the lady to figure out how do you get on the damn bull.
Bull prep.
I was in negotiations. All right, you have to give them a tip, and then the bull was free. So, but this is how fast it happened.
Of course, that's
this is how fast it happened. So, person who's drunk, white dude, tries to make a pass at who I'm with, my lady, and so whatever. Kid him for herself was like, no, we don't know each other. I think it was like, hey, do we know each other or whatever? Because she had bumped into him by accident or something like that. Oh, do we know each other? No, we don't. No, sorry, we don't. Dude persisted. Oh, we know each other. So basically, dude, I think called her a name or a dick or something. Made her feel very uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. And so she had to walk over to me and the dude realized, oh, she's actually here with somebody. And I said that. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, then I was told what happened. Mm-hmm. And, I had to have a conversation. And so, the conversation was stern. And, it wasn't Will Smith Oscars worthy, but it was what I think Will should have did. But yeah, but for me, the aftermath is the dude, if she wasn't with me, would have felt very comfortable disrespecting her because of being rejected. And so a woman shouldn't have to feel like I got to have a dude around. Like a woman saying, yeah, I'm not interested. She shouldn't need to be like, oh, I'm not interested because I'm with this other guy. No, She should be able to be like, I'm not fucking interested. And that be the end of it. Yep. You see what I'm saying? I hesitate telling that story because I'm sure my mother watches the podcast, and she's gonna be like, she'll be like, you gotta leave those things alone and don't approach nobody. Yeah, I get it. But you gotta understand, it was WrestleMania. No, man. I was like, you ain't gonna come on. Like, I get the whole will. Like, Alan, would you let somebody disrespect somebody? Like, you would have said something. You know what I mean? Like, no,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like, yo, listen, I'm here. I'm saying, but and that's the weird thing too, because I do feel some sort of way having to say, you shouldn't do this because I'm here. Because the conversation should be, you shouldn't do this because it's wrong. You feel me? But a lot of times, the only thing that men respect is other men, unfortunately, and that's the misogyny coming out.
The worst part about it is the dude tried to deny that he even said anything. That's what it was just like. He's like, oh no, he said no, and then he like screamed over to his friend.
Oh, for backup.
For backup, and his friend came over, and then he realized, oh, this dude's probably not all there because he ain't flinching. And so I basically, in Soapboxx terminology, told both of them, that if he decides that he wants to solicit and be disrespectful, I, as a good Christian man, have no problem blessing him and his friend right where they stay. Like we could easily have church right here in Bible study together right here at this establishment. And if we needed some personal healing, because I got healing hands, and so that's, and they decided that no, we are going to we'll have service another day at another time, and so we decided to part ways. But I was ready and willing to travail and pray with these gentlemen.
I mean, and I know you had a tight shirt on.
Listen, brother.
Do we have a problem?
Yo, listen, brother. Listen. I
to the old lady?
No, you know what it was? I don't like, and this is the part about the whole thing. It didn't take for me to see something and think that, oh, it was funny, because some dudes would have just brushed it off like, all right, whatever, people being a dick or whatever it says. But for me, I didn't like the look. Like, it was like everybody's having a good time. And so because you can't handle your liquor or whatever, you want to make somebody else feel uncomfortable and try to subjugate them because of your own insecurities. And it was the look on my company's face that made me was like, oh, I have to let you.
You flamed out, Chief. You flamed out. Soapboxx Nation, please bear with us as we deal with just a little bit of technical difficulties. My brother TJ does have the BlackBerry internet. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get him upgraded. In the meantime, when y'all get a moment, please go to all your social networks and follow the Soapboxx Podcast. 2 X's. That's right. The Soapboxx Podcast. 2 X's. I appreciate that. As you can see, my IG is Homeless Millionaire. Make sure you give me a follow as well. I got some exciting things going on within the next, let's say, 2 to 8 weeks or so. Like Willis Reed coming out the tunnel.
Sorry about that.
You back. Let's get it.
We are still live, my brother. No, I'm here.
Let's get it.
I am here. Technical difficulties. But anyway, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, technical difficulties, but we're here. Yeah, you don't. I mean, my thing is that I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. So, yeah, it was a blip on the vacation that we had, but not a problem.
Yeah, it comes with the unfortunately, it comes with the relationship territory. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't. So that's why we're here to try to make the world a little bit of a better place. Speaking of making the world a better place, TJ, do you have a moral of the story you would like to bless the people with? We just need to we just got to squeeze 45 seconds out of the T-Mobile Sidekick internet. That's it. I think you back. You back?
Yo, I heard the T-Mobile Sidekick internet. Look, I'm gonna have these people come check because this has happened too frequently. So look, hey man, let's wrap. Let's go to the moral of the story since you selling out and I caught your ass. Go ahead, let's get to the moral of the story. I appreciate y'all bearing with it.
You told me that even when you frozen, you can still hear me. So I figured I'd give you that message. So the moral of the story is, man, listen, tomatoes are made for pasta and pizza, not for relationships. That's right. Do not give the ultimatums in your relationship unless it's extremely, extremely necessary. And also make sure you know that you know what you're giving the ultimatum for. Make sure it's not a control issue. Make sure you're not doing it to try to flex some sort of muscle. You know what I'm saying? Also, quick little drop. Lisa, what's up? Soapboxx Nation, what's up? And also the last moral of the story is happy Easter Sunday coming up, y'all. Happy Easter Sunday. Peace to all my Islam brothers and sisters, of course, that's participating in Ramadan. It's definitely an admirable thing that y'all doing, and I always look up to y'all. So that's my moral of the story. TJ, who has the crispiest camera that I've ever seen now, which is such a 180 from what we were looking at.
The camera looks better?
It's 4K right now, brother. It's 4K.
I have no idea what's going on. I think my internet is I don't know what the hell's going on.
I can see the future in your camera. But go ahead.
Yo, so my moral of the story is this. The only ultimatum that you need to give is to yourself. If you have a standard, if you want to change your life, if you don't like the way you're being treated, if you don't like your job, then you need to give yourself an ultimatum, and that ultimatum needs to be what? And the only ultimatum you need to give yourself is what I'm doing making you happy? And if it's not making you happy and it's not bringing you peace, well, then you need to give yourself an ultimatum and say, either you do what you need to do in order to bring yourself peace, happiness, and joy, or you just need to stay stuck in where you are and don't talk about it and don't complain about it if you're not really ready to move. So I think any ultimatum comes with a decision. You made a decision to give somebody else an ultimatum, when in all actuality, the only person you need to have a conversation with is your inner you. So I hope that anybody who is looking to, whether they're looking to transition, whether they're in some sort of limbo, that they give themselves an ultimatum and do what's best for them, their happiness, their health, and their joy. Yo, this has been a eventful, I mean, I miss the ladies, man. I do miss the ladies, but I do appreciate the conversations that you and I can have. Your mic is muted.
That's because I was yelling into the air because I miss the ladies so much. I want y'all, Soapboxx Nation, I want y'all to flood their inboxes tonight and tell them that we miss them and knock on their digital doors. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? We've actually been pretty good because we haven't been having some intellectual conversations. Remember, this may mean we're growing. Because before, when the ladies was not around, we used to be
running amok. We was running amok. Amok was being ran.
Yeah, like we would openly, but now we're just settled down. Maybe, maybe
diet amok. Yeah, for sure. So, shout out to us. But ladies, whenever y'all are ready, man, come back. Say what's up to you guys. Say what's up to the people. Say what's up to the nation. You know what I'm saying?
The ladies will be back. I think April is the month for the fellas. We do have some things that we're gonna have to plan in the future, but we're good. We're making it do what it do. Any parting words, Alan, before we wrap?
Nah, man. I just wanted to shout out to my new hat. You know what I'm saying, I debuted it on the Soapboxx.
I saw that. I was trying to look at it. It's NY, right? But it's all
yes. This is a New York. Actually, technically, is a New York Knickerbocker hat. It's like an old baseball team. Ebbets Field. Well, the basketball team, we didn't make the playoffs, but we ended very, 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 very strongly. So shout out to the New York Knicks. Shout out to
Alan, Lisa wants to know, did you watch any Marvel? Did you do your homework? And I'm going to go on a hunch and say no. He has not done anything based upon that look on his face. The look that I've recognized since 2007 when you ask Alan to do something, and he didn't really do it. So maybe Alan needs an ultimatum.
So what happened was the ultimatums, and then the playoffs. The playoffs are starting. So, summertime.
You gotta get with it. Yo, I gotta catch up. I still have not seen Moon Knight because I've been so busy. I like binge watching.
Moonlight? Oh.
No, not Moonlight. I'm not watching that. I'm talking about Moon Knight, which is another Marvel miniseries, and I haven't watched. I started watching Power Force, which is actually really good. So I like binge watching things. And if you have not seen, speaking of things to watch, if you have not seen this season of Atlanta, we may do a whole show on that next week. The new season of Atlanta is so deep. It's so deep. Like
I've seen
you gotta watch it.
And I'm just interested because I've really I feel like the reaction is so like either it's really good or what the fuck are they doing? But I've seen
the people who say what the fuck are they doing don't read, and they're not well read, so we don't talk to them.
Well, maybe that, and maybe it's just that like the characters that they've like, I wouldn't say that they've abandoned the characters, but like sometimes they'll just not be in the show. So it's like a different type of season.
It's deeper. You know what it is with binge watching and stuff like that. You got to give people some time to cook. Lisa says, watch the MCU in timeline order. There's a list. Start in the summer, get it done. You're right. I actually have to do that because my company didn't know anything about Star Wars or Marvel. Well, I'd say anything about Marvel, but I had to watch them in the order. But I watched them in the order that they were released because, you got the hidden scenes and all those different things. But
yeah,
cool. Like I think it's real good. Oh, but yeah, Atlanta is a really good show. I don't want to, we'll touch on that later on this week. I mean, next week or something. But sure. Yeah, Atlanta this season has been superb. It's been excellent. And of course, if y'all have not been watching Wonder Years, make sure y'all watch Wonder Years.
Gorgeous.
You know what? I might try to holler at one of the actors for Wonder Years. I would love to get one of them to be on the Soapbox. I might try to do it.
And also, Abbott Elementary, the season just ended yesterday, and that's actually a really good show too. Super easy watch.
I do like Abbott,
really
but
good.
I do not like the character, the principal's character. It's
Ava?
No. Yeah, whoever the principal is, yes.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get into that later. But yeah. Yeah, she's not my favorite at all. I don't really dig it.
And it's not, and people are like, well, she's playing the same thing like Michael Scott in The Office. No. Michael Scott in The Office was actually funny. This one.
Oh, she's funny, but she's not like.
No, she's exhausting.
She's very exhausting.
Like when I watch it, it's just like.
I think it's because it's like the severity of. It might be like some like triggering, like.
Nigga, and I don't like people. I don't like people who fuck around with kids like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like the severity.
Yeah, that's probably what it's
triggering of like the seriousness of a job like that could be like, all right, but we'll get into that another time. Soapbox Nation.
Shout out to Soapbox Nation. Shout out to you, Lisa. Shout out to everybody who watches, shares, likes our stuff. Look, this train is like, I wouldn't even say it's a train. It's about a rocket. We are all on a rocket ship, and we are counting down to blast off. Listen, y'all never know when things are going to pop off. But we appreciate you guys tuning in every week, listening to us on all of our streaming services and our platforms, subscribing to our YouTube channel, all of that good stuff. So with that being said, for Giovanni, for Giovanni, for Jesse, for Alan York, for TJ Legacy, we are the Soapboxx Podcast. Peace.
Tell them what we